Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Hidden Leaf Master, Movie 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. I have no clue where I am or what is going on or what this big egg is supposed to be. Uzumaki Naruto. Fit, athletic, and pretty decent looking overall. Messy blonde hair, bright blue eyes, tan peach skin, and a lean body trained in martial arts. 17 years old, he was about 170 centimeters in height, and still growing, so he was of a nice height, as well. He was currently sitting in the grass, on a warm sunny day, surrounded by boulders that had strange rocks sticking out of them. The last thing he remembered. He saw a pink cat fetus-looking creature, and an onion fairy-looking creature when he was on his way to school to conquer it one day. That was it, that was all he could remember seeing, before there was a flash, and then nothing. Now he was sitting with an egg in his lap, with no clue at all where he was. At least it's nice and sunny today. He was going to go with the flow, because obviously some kind of magical bullshit was at play. Naruto just leaned back onto his back, placed the egg on his chest, and decided he would go with it. He grinned to himself, picked up a blade of grass, and just started to whistle with it. He wasn't going to take a nap, but he had no idea where he was, when he got to where he was, or what he was going to do. Not going to school. Not going to school was what he was going to do, and since there was a tree with berries nearby, he wasn't worried about food. Where there were berries and trees, one could also find fresh water somewhere nearby, as well, somewhat nearby at least. So he wasn't going to starve or thirst when it came down to it, and the weather was nice, and toasty enough that he wasn't worried about freezing either. He had no family, and no friends to get to or worry about either, and while his goal was to become the boss of Japan, he had no real need to do it in order to survive. Basically, he had no reason to really care about where he was or what he was going to do, because, as long as he could survive and be happy, there was no real need for him to hurry and find a way back. Crack. Petal petal. A tiny creature hatched out of the egg, and the eggshell just vanished completely, as the newborn creature found itself on Naruto's chest. He looked down at it, and saw a small creature that looked like a bulb. A grass bulb with a white face, yellowish-green body with a green color, and 3 darker green leaves on its head. Naruto looked at it, continuing to play his grass whistle, as he just raised an eyebrow at the strange and unusual creature. Petal. Naruto repeated the name with the raised eyebrow. I like it, I like you, strange little bulb. Naruto reached up, and rubbed the top of its head. It even had the smooth glossy texture of leaves. It wasn't a mammal at all, it did not have the feeling of skin or fur, it was truly a plant that seemed to be sentient in nature. It snuggled up against him like an affectionate creature all the same. Well, guess I better start training if I'm going to protect you. Naruto started, as he hopped up to his feet, caught Petal before it could go flying, and placed it on top of his head. The small creature seemed to enjoy it. Small creatures needed to be protected, that much would be obvious to everyone. He looked around, and looked for anything that he could use to train with, and all he found was the boulder that had strangely colored and shaped rocks sticking out of it, and the tree that was growing berries. Naruto kicked the tree, and shook it, causing a few berries to rain down around him. One of them bounced off of Petal's head, then hit a part of his head, before it bounced into his hand. He didn't hesitate to chomp down on the berry with a grin on his face. He took a few bites, before he tossed the berry to the ground, and rushed towards the boulder. He punched it, and though a small crack appeared in the boulder, it didn't shatter. He pulled his fist back, and shook it, a grin on his face, as he hopped from foot to foot. Too bad this isn't a movie, or this could have been a training montage, ha. Naruto laughed when his little buddy jumped off of his head, and attacked the boulder, as well. It tossed leaves from its head, and attacked the boulder, scratching it. Haha, guess you've got a fight in you. Okay then Petal, let's see how far you can go then. Naruto pulled his fist back, and punched the boulder again. So he trained. He trained. He trained on sunny days, and he trained on rainy days. He kept punching the boulder in front of him, cracking it, and his knuckles. He kept punching it until his knuckles couldn't handle it anymore, and Petal kept attacking her boulder, as well. The two of them were attacking different boulders, never stopping until the boulders they were attacking were reduced to rubble. Naruto collected all of the special rocks that came out of the boulders, and he made a pile of them in a hole in the ground that he dug. Then they trained more. He trained his legs by kicking berry trees, and collecting the fruit it bore, and by picking up boulder chunks, and moving them somewhere else. They trained. When the leaves fell from the trees, they trained. When wild creatures attacked them, they fought them, and continued to train. They trained every day they could, rested on days they couldn't train. When Naruto's clothes got ruined by his training, he spent time making new clothes from the leaves that Petal would give him. Soon enough he had a cloak made of leaves, and all he had of his old clothes were his pants, which were destroyed from the shins below. The boulder-filled area eventually changed. Naruto took the rubble from the destroyed boulders, and made a stone hut out of them when the days became colder, a hut where he had a fire going at all times. The days became cold, but they trained. The days were filled with snow, but they ran around to train their stamina. Petal was keeping up with the training to the best of her ability, and the training for her bore more fruit than for him. Naruto's body was changing as well. He was still growing himself, getting taller, as his muscles became more defined from the harsher training. They continued to train. Finally, the weather warmed up again. The final boulder. Come on Petal, let's take it down together. Naruto thrust his fist into the air. Petal rushed to it with leaves ready, while Naruto ran to the other side of the boulder with his fist pulled back. The two of them attacked from different sides, and destroyed, and broke the boulder in half. Petal danced in joy, as she shimmied around on the ground, while Naruto just tossed more of the unique stones towards the growing pile. Well, it's time to take our training somewhere else now, time to get a move on. Naruto grabbed his worn-down old school bag, and he started to load up all of the strange rocks he had picked up over the months of training. Petal jumped onto his shoulder, and nuzzled up to his head when she was done with her dance. 9 full moons. It had been about 9 months since Naruto started to train with Petal, and raised this small creature, who didn't seem to really change in appearance that much over that time period. He slung his bag over his other shoulder, and he looked into the distance to try and guess where he could go to find some kind of civilization. Petal. The small creature looked at the stone hut they built. It's fine, let's leave it for the next people who need shelter from the elements. Naruto didn't seem to need to worry about a place to stay. Wherever they went, they could find a place to stay, so there was no problem there. Civilization is that way for sure. Naruto just pointed, and trusted his guts to point him in the right direction. Thus started the journey of a man who just went with the flow, and trained to his heart's content. Petal was a Pokemon, reaching a town called Cianwood, a beach town, which allowed him to finally meet up with another human, where he learned the term Pokemon. It was a strange kind of thing to call the species, but Naruto accepted it well enough. He was mostly concerned with the fact he didn't know if he was getting a lot of money for the rocks that he was selling, or very little money. He had almost nothing to compare it to. He had found the Pokemart. Sorry, I really can't give you more than 59,850 poke. These are good evolution stones though, so, as a thanks for selling them, I can give you 5 Pokeballs. Pokeballs, Naruto muttered, as he looked at the 5 red and white balls that were being offered to him. He had no clue the value of what he was being given, but they seemed pretty basic overall. The register worker seemed to be very patient with him though, and could see his confusion well enough to know that he seemed ignorant. What do you call Petal? Naruto asked with a tilted head. A nod. Okay, I can accept that. Petal seems to like those Pokeballs. So what are they used for exactly? Naruto asked with a furrowed brow. You can hold Pokemon in them, or let them rest after a Pokemon battle. Pokemon battle? Naruto wasn't sure what that was. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, and accepted the money that he was being given, before he grabbed one of the Pokeballs. He looked at it for a few seconds, before he noticed the thing in the center was a button he could press. He pressed it, and it grew in size, so he tapped it against Petal. Whoa. Naruto shouted when a red glow shot out of it, and it opened up. Petal was absorbed into the Pokeball. Ding. That means you caught the Pokemon, and it is yours now, sir. Thanks. Naruto put his money in the pocket of his bag, and took the remaining 4 Pokeballs, and put them into his bag, as well. Slinging it over his shoulder, he walked out of the Pokemart with, and instantly sank a little less into the sand than before. The entire city for the most part was built on a sandy beach, which would be great for training if he were to be honest. Pokemon battle. Seems interesting. Naruto tossed the Pokeball up into the air. Petal popped out, and landed on top of his head, and the Pokeball landed in his open hand. Naruto kept walking, ready to find a clothing store so he could get some new pants, and a shirt, maybe some sandals or something. Chuck's being challenged to a gym battle, some girl with fighting types this time. Seems she is from Johto, a foreigner. So this country is called Johto Gym. Naruto looked towards the gossip with a curious glance, before he shrugged, and walked towards the water. He would ignore the gym for now, in favor of finding a place where he and Petal could train more. Naruto put his hand in his pocket, before he noticed that he had a rock in his pocket. This one looks like the sun I'm keeping. Naruto put the rock back into his pocket, and shrugged. Naruto grinned when he saw a boulder on the beach. He also saw a clothing store, as well, but it was closed for the day. He walked over towards the boulder, and sat down, and leaned up against it. Petal spun around on his head to get his hair into a comfortable nest for it to rest on top of, and he didn't bother at all. Later that night, Naruto stirred from his nap at the sounds of a frustrated person. Calm yourself. Chuck is no novice, take your loss, and learn from it. You and your Pokemon did your best, it just wasn't enough this time. Do better next time. Yes sir. Wah. Naruto jumped out of the way when the boulder he was sitting against was shattered by a punch from a larger Pokemon than his Petal. It was very muscular, but shorter than himself. Naruto had been shocked by the boulder shattering, where he looked towards the people who had shattered the boulder. It was a girl, and her Pokemon. Walking away was a man in a blue training guy, walking away, and it would seem he had been walking away for a hot minute. I apologize, I didn't know you were sleeping there. The girl about his age was wearing a strange uniform to him. She was petite, but lean with well-defined muscles, and thicker legs, and rear. Her abs, hind end, and legs were more developed than any part of her, with her shoulders and fists being more developed than most girls their age for sure. She was clearly a martial artist with a fair amount of skill or strength, and she had tanned skin from either natural color or being outside a lot. A black one-piece, shiny, leathered under her clothing, a white guide top, and white, orange, and black hot shorts. Also a cute black and orange ribbon on her head, with big, but short gray hair to go with her silver eyes. "Who's that Pokemon?" Naruto asked, as he looked at the muscle moon. It flexed. "This is Metric, he's my partner." "You have Petal as your partner." "Sorry, I'm B." She remained pretty stone-faced the entire time that she was talking to him, even when she introduced herself. Naruto rubbed the back of his head, laid back about the fact he almost got hurt. "I'll go train." "With me?" Naruto asked her with a smile. "With you? Want to train with me? I've been training my partner here for like 9 months. Fighting wild Pokemon, breaking boulders. I would love to train with somebody for a little bit," Naruto stated with a grin on his face. B nodded her head. She then put a strong foot forward and grabbed her Pokeball, taking a stance. Then I accept B was surprised when she got punched in the face and knocked onto her butt in the sand. She grabbed her cheek with a surprised look, while Magic seemed just as surprised by her suddenly getting punched. The Pokeball flying out of her hand and landing in the sand, and she stared at Naruto with shock. Naruto had his hand extended to her. "Sorry, you seemed ready, so I thought it was okay to start sparring. Here, would you like to get a free hit in?" Naruto helped her to her feet. He should have waited for her to say she was ready. B looked at him with more shock as she was helped to her feet, and she looked at her Magic's Pokeball in the sand. She glanced at Naruto's fist that had hit her, and rubbed her jaw as she contemplated the fact she had been punched. "You wanted to train with me?" B asked after a moment. "I can train with Magic too if you want, but how can Petal learn if she doesn't get to see me train? I want to set a good example after all." Naruto looked towards Magic and grinned. B looked back at her Magic before she turned her head away from Naruto and covered her mouth. She disguised a giggle as a cough. She punched Naruto in the face with a neutral look on her face. "Got your punch fucking hard for a girl. What the hell, this is the hardest anyone has ever punched me before, nice." Naruto shouted as he rolled around on his back, holding his bleeding nose and rolling around. He was only in pain for a minute before he wiped his nose on his arm and grinned at B, sending her a thumbs up. Clearly, she trained with her Pokemon. These are fists that have mastered Galar-style karate. "If you still wish to train with me, I will not hold back," B stated, with Magic staring at her with some surprise when she took her fighting stance back up. If she was surprised he took her punch so well, or if she was offended about her punching hard for a girl, then she didn't show it. She just took up her stance with more firmness to it, now knowing that she would be training with her own body, and not just her Pokemon. "These are the fists that have never once studied any martial arts, but have been in a ton of fights. Nice to train with you, B." Naruto copied her intro to the training. She looked at him with her head tilted. "You've never studied martial." She blocked a kick that came out of nowhere, and she noticed that he had no style, but great form. As he was pulling back his leg from the kick, and she took a step forward to counter, he hopped on his standing leg and kicked at her with both feet in the air. She ducked under his foot and reached to grab his leg as his hands touched the sand. He flipped backwards as her hands started to wrap around his leg, pulling himself from her grasp and getting back to his feet before she could press for an advantage. B and Naruto glanced out of the corners of their eyes. Petal and Magic were sparring as well, not content to watch their fight. "That's a Petal, match my movements." Naruto swept his foot at B's legs, and Petal's body bulged for a moment as it buffed itself up. It then rushed towards Magic's feet and sent leaves at it. B jumped, stepped back, and avoided his legs. Magic was hit in the legs by the leaves though, and Naruto stopped looking at Magic completely. B glanced at her Pokemon out of the corner of her eye. "Use Rock Smash." B took 2 quick steps towards Naruto and swung her fist upwards at him. In contrast, Magic hopped to his feet and jumped at Petal with his fist swinging downwards. Naruto took her fist dead center to the middle of his chest, and Petal took the fist to the top of her head. Naruto grabbed B's fist even as the air escaped his lungs and he was pushed back, while powder rushed out of Petal's body and sprayed Magic in the face. He stumbled back, as if stunned, and B kicked Naruto in the ribs to force him to release her fist. Petal started to pelt Magic with the leaves on its head, hitting him dead center in the chest and knocking him onto his back, still stunned. Naruto, in sync, used his free hand to throw a punch at B's chest. She caught his fist, but she didn't catch his feet with her hand. Instead, she caught both of his feet dead center in the middle of her chest, as she had the wind knocked out of her. She was on her back when she landed, and she had her eyes squinted as she tried to force air back into her lungs. "Oh, get back in the air." Naruto on the other hand raised a hand and patted himself on the chest a few times. The only difference was that he got the wind knocked out of him and was still standing on his feet. He finally got his breath back as B was starting to stand up and her breath was under control. Magic on the other hand tried to stand up, but seemed to randomly get paralyzed by something, as a spark or two seemed to come off of his body. "Bit my lip," Bee muttered. As she noticed she had split her bottom lip open, she wiped the blood away, and closed her eyes, before she opened them with newfound determination. Not showing an ounce of weakness, she rushed towards Naruto, and unleashed a battle cry. "Magic, fight with me. Ma. Petal, come on, and let's show Bee our thanks. Gala karate is amazing." Naruto complimented Bee, as he ducked under her kick, and when she spun, and kicked at him with her other foot, he stepped back quickly. Petal copied his movements, before rushing towards Magic, ready to attack with her leaves again. Naruto copied Petal, and rushed towards Bee, as she was putting both of her feet back on the ground. Naruto's head planted itself firmly in belly, and Petal knocked Magic back onto his back. Now Magic got up, and using strength Bee wrapped her arms around Naruto's torso. She lifted him up, upside down, and threw him over her shoulder. Magic got back up, and tried to grab Petal, who jumped on top of Magic's arm with a flip. Naruto flipped, and landed on the sand with shaky footing. Bee punched him off center on his back, and knocked him forward several steps. Magic tried to attack, but was paralyzed, as Petal attacked it. Mock. Naruto kicked her in the face, and knocked her onto the sand again, making her body do a spin before her face hit the ground. In the moment she was distracted the moment she looked at her Pokemon. She put her hand over her forehead where she was kicked, a frown marrying her face, as she stood back up. Naruto was grinning. "I'm not done here. There wouldn't be training if you were done so quickly." The next morning, well, something happened. Bee's father looked down at his injured daughter. She was knocked out cold with scuffs all over her body, and her uniform dirty with sweat. She had dried blood on her face from her lip, and her nose, and her knuckles were bruised. He looked towards Magic, who was sleeping on the ground with a Petal on his chest. Both of the Pokemon seemed rather exhausted, as well. Finally, he saw a knockout boy that was about his daughter's age, who had bruises on his body in various places, as well. It would seem that she had found somebody who trained with her. He heard my daughter's interest Bee with a nice smile. His daughter was knocked out, but she was smiling in her sleep. He just came to Cianwood to get her to get some experience battling against a fighting gym leader. He figured she would lose, but he hadn't expected her to find a rival to push her to her limits. She was a genius at Gala karate, so having somebody who was a human that could push her to her limits was surprising and reassuring for him. He picked Bee up, grabbed her Pokeball, and pointed it towards Magic, and returned it. With that, he carried his daughter like a princess, and he looked back at the boy who fought her. He gave a respectful bow of his head. Taking away the stow on side gym away from those ghost trainers can wait. It seems Bee might be ready to go on a journey of her own, with a rival to push her higher than my training ever could. Petal woke up, and hopped onto Naruto's chest. Then fell back asleep. So nice, am I right? Naruto was wearing new, durable clothes made for going on adventures. His outfit consisted of a short-sleeved black shirt with a hoodie with no sleeves over the top of it, and jeans for his pants, and sandals for footwear. On his right wrist he wore a green armband, something Petal wanted to add to him. He bought 2 of the outfits. He bought 3 pairs of underwear. He got himself 1 swimsuit. Finally, 1 warmer long-sleeved black shirt for colder weather. Petal hopped around happily, as she showed off her new orange headband that she was proudly sporting, and she jumped onto Naruto's shoulder, before she hopped into the hoodie hanging off the back of his neck. She made herself comfortable in his hoodie, and he grabbed his new, larger backpack, and walked to the cashier to pay for everything. That checks that off the list. Now I need to get a sleeping bag, a strap to attach it to the outside of the backpack. 3 of those super potions I saw them selling at the Pokemart, and Naruto paused, as he tried to remember what else he had seen at the Pokemart that had caught his attention. Stuff that would be useful to have on his journey. Something to carry fresh water in. Thanks, we might not always be traveling to places with easy to find water. Naruto slapped his forehead, and reached back to pet his partner for the reminder. Naruto looked, and saw Bee was entering the Pokemon Mart, and she was wearing more casual clothes. She was wearing a white t-shirt with a v-neck collar on it, and a ruffled black shirt. She had tennis shoes on with a black ribbon on the front of each one. She kept her white, black, and orange color scheme going the entire time. She had a big bag with her that she was carrying at her side, and though she was wearing a skirt, Naruto could see that she was wearing biker shorts underneath them when the wind blew, and raised her skirt a bit. Out of sleeping bags, I guess I'll be fine without one. I should pick up some full heels while I'm Bee spoke, as she cut herself off by walking into the store. Naruto didn't follow her into the store. He also went into the store, but he didn't follow her in. She went to one aisle of the store, and he went to a different one where he saw what he needed. Bee was checking a list of things she needed, while Naruto was going off of what he felt he needed to have for the journey. Naruto. Morning Bee, afternoon Bee. Naruto corrected himself pleasantly with a wave and a smile when she walked into the same aisle as him. She approached him, and grabbed several full heels off of the shelf beside him, before she paused, and stared at him. My father left town. Are you leaving town soon? Bee asked him, waiting for his answer with a slight hitch to her breath. Wanna come with me? Naruto asked her, as he picked up on what she was getting at, when Petal gently tapped the back of his head and muttered to him to offer. He was happy that Petal picked up on what B wanted to get at, so he offered B a hand. She grabbed it. Lad B started before both of them dropped all of the equipment they had filled their arms with, right onto the floor. None of it broke, but they were forced to get down on their hands and knees to pick everything up. I was hoping to join you, so thank you for asking. B gave him a more guarded look, seemingly unsure of how to show her emotion to him. Awesome, the more the merrier. I promise I will not hold you back. B gave him a determined stare, as they stood up with their items in tow. I didn't think you would. Naruto responded, and she took the unspoken compliment behind his words with a nod. He had no reason to think she would hold him back. She had punched him in the face after all, so he knew that she was a strong girl. How's magic? Naruto questioned her, and she used her hip to move her bag around, resting in his pokeball. You don't let him out. He prefers to stay in his pokeball when we're not battling or training, or doing something otherwise important. B looked at Petal, who seemed more than happy to bask in the light outside of the pokeball. It was strange for a known Pokemon to not be in their pokeballs, since most Pokemon actually had no problem spending most of their time in them. It was usually the Pokemon that either hated pokeballs, or had abnormally strong bonds with their trainers, that preferred life outside of them. She just accepted it, and didn't mention it. So, where are you on a map? Naruto didn't finish his question to B before he remembered he would need a map to know where he was, and where he was going. I don't have any set place where I'm going, so if you have somewhere you want to go. How about Mahogany Town? Sounds good to me. Naruto didn't even question why she wanted to go there, what reason she might have. Just having a destination was good enough for him, so he grabbed one of the maps off of the shelf as he passed them. They went to the cashier, and Naruto noticed that B was carrying food in her bag. He said nothing. You're not going to buy Pokemon food. Nah, surviving off the land is great training. It might be a good idea to get some rations though, just in case we can't find something to eat. I'll be right back. Naruto rushed off to go and get some rations, leaving her at the counter to finish paying for everything that she had bought. Journeying with your boyfriend. He ignored that comment with darker cheeks from the cashier, not giving him the dignity of a response for the comment. Surviving off the land, working for your food, and going hungry if you find nothing. That would make excellent training for stamina and endurance. It makes sense that my punches didn't keep him down for long. He had been wondering why he could take her punches, get winded, and stay standing up while he recovered most of the time. During their spar, he took her attacks better than anyone other humans had ever taken her attacks before. She had wondered how he got his endurance, and it would seem she had a good answer. She noticed Naruto was coming back, so she quickly scanned certain items that she needed before he could see them, and hid them in the pile before he got back. Now Petal, you can pick out 2 reward snacks. If anything catches your eye, let me know. Naruto took Petal out of his hoodie, and set her down on the counter. She looked at everything on the snack stand, before she picked out 2 tins filled with mints with her eyes sparkling in interest. Naruto grabbed them, and placed them with his items, while B was finishing scanning, and paying for the last of her own. Seeing this though, she grabbed a few chocolate bars, and added them to her things. Matchup likes chocolate. I wouldn't get chocolate for a journey though, chocolate melts in the heat, and gets all gooey. Naruto mentioned with a shrug. She put them back, and Naruto started to scan his stuff. Meet you outside. She left. So journeying with your girlfriend sounds exciting. Am I right? The cashier asked with a grin. Naruto added something to his pile, as the man spoke. Man, you must be bored out of your mind. Naruto laughed it off, since the joke didn't do him any harm. He just scanned his items, and paid for them, before he loaded them up in his backpack, and left the store. He saw B rearranging her bag, so that everything would fit comfortably. When she was done, she slung it over her shoulder, and kept it at her side. Naruto just looked at his map. They were surrounded by water. Mahogany Town is this one. We'll need to take a boat to get to the mainland, or we could travel up into these mountains, and cross at this bridge connecting these cliffs. Naruto mentioned, as he pointed to the 2 different ways they could reach the mainland. Both are walking to the bridge, and B started to think about it before she looked at him to read his expression. I think we should take this boat that goes between here and this town. Then let's do that. B nodded in agreement. Damn, I was hoping you would argue the cliff. It's a long boat ride, but a 2-week walk. Mountain climbing sounds fun. Naruto hummed out loud in disappointment. Then suggest what you want next time first. At least it is only a 6-hour boat ride. At least. Later on the boat. You should have mentioned you get seasick. B mentioned to Naruto, as he wobbled and grabbed onto the ledge. Not seasick, actually I'm not good at standing on boats. I just have a ton of trouble with my footing, and all this wobbling around just messes with my stomach. Naruto would be fine if he sat down, stood still, or lay down on a boat. He only had a problem when he was in motion, so when he leaned over the edge of the rails, the color started to return to his face. He looked out at the whirlpools with a wide smile on his face. Who is that Pokemon? Naruto asked, as he pointed to something that was swimming near the ship. 19, what are you doing? Splash. Bee looked over the edge of the boat with her eyes widened when Naruto's head came out of the water, and the rest of him came out, as well, when a mantine jumped out of the water with Naruto on its back. Naruto was rubbing it on the back with a grin on his face, while Bee saw it swim ahead of the boat. She covered her mouth with both of her hands, as she hid her giggles, muffling them so that nobody could hear them, but herself. The mantine jumped high enough to fly over the boat, and Naruto jumped from its back, and landed back on the boat with a satisfied smile. Awesome. Next time, we should ask some mantine to take us across the water, and give them treats for the favor that was so cool. Naruto waved his waves to the mantine, as he ran over to the railing. Thanks buddy. Next time, let's swim together again. Naruto shouted to the Pokemon, as it swam alongside the boat again. Are you going to catch it? Bee questioned a wondering star. Nah, he seems pretty happy out here to me. Naruto gave a satisfied sigh, as the mantine looked towards him, and blew a few bubbles, before swimming off into the distance away from the boat. Naruto shook the water out of his hair, and Petal shook the salt water off of her leaves, before jumping on top of Bee's head, and using her bow to dry her face off. When she was done drying off, she jumped back to Naruto's head, and stayed there while the hoodie dried off in the sun. Bee just leaned up against the railing next to Naruto. She didn't say anything, but she licked her lips. She was looking forward to when they got to Mahogany Town. Listen Bee, the shortest distance is a straight line. We could take a detour through that town that way, and follow the road, but if we do we'll miss out on all of this excitement. This is not excitement. Bee responded, as she punched Beedrill in the face. Magic behind her kept using its strength to knock aside any Beedrill that got too close to her. She looked over at Naruto, as he gave a two-footed kick to the middle of a Beedrill, and sent it packing, flying away with a wave or two its flying. Keep Petal away from Beedrill, Bug, and Poison are super effective against grass types. Bee advised Naruto. Petal attacked a Beedrill with a green powder that caused it to twitch, which Naruto used as his chance to attack the Pokemon with his own attacks. Petal didn't use any grass-type attacks other than its stun spore, while Naruto inflicted the damage that forced the Beedrill to scatter away. Naruto and Bee backed up into each other. They were sweating. They had been fighting Beedrill for over a full hour non-stop, and it was getting exhausting for everyone involved. The Beedrill were starting to get the picture that they weren't going to be taking them down though, so some of them were starting to scatter all on their own, without needing to be attacked. Why are they even after us? Have you smelled Petal? She smells sweet. Bet they think she's sweet like honey. Naruto dodged a drill arm by the skin of his teeth, and punched the Pokemon in the face before the drill could touch Bee behind him. Magic collapsed to a knee, and Bee returned him to his Pokeball just before Beedrill could attack him. Though, we might want to start running. Naruto grabbed Bee by the shoulder, and gestured to a clearing in the distance. Sound logic. Then we go. Naruto took off running, with Bee keeping up behind him. Petal jumped onto Bee's head, and started to spray powder behind them, as they made their escape. They kept running though, before they broke the forest line, and ran into a visible city. He looked towards the road, and he saw that they were heading back towards the city that they had already left when they got off of the boat. We have gone in a circle. You take the map. Naruto passed the map to Bee. She rolled it up. She smacked Naruto on the back of the head with the rolled up map when she saw that Olivan City was the city they were about to go towards. Meaning that they had traveled in a huge circle through the forest, spending 2 days doing nothing, but going in the world's most annoying detour, only to end up the exact same distance from their goal. I deserve that. Bee and Naruto agreed he earned the whack to the head. Magic doing good. Just needs some rest, but this time let's follow the route. We will take Route 39 to Route 38 before we stop in Acridiac, on the way to Mahogany. Bee carefully showed the routes they would take on the map. She didn't detail the entire path they would take. They would rest up in Acridiac for the night, and then would head out that next morning, with more of the path planned out. Petal hopped back to Naruto's hoodie, and landed in it perfectly, before she nuzzled up against the back of his head. Naruto took a tin of mints from his front pocket, and took a few of the mints out, and passed them back to his partner. Her eyes sparkled in delight, as she grabbed them, and ate them, sucking on the mints with her eyes sparkling still, and her letting out happy Petal noises. No point staying in town, you set up camp. I'm going to go take a bath in the river, no peeking. Bee stated, as she took her top off to reveal the spandex one-piece suit she was wearing underneath it. When she went jogging, she only wore the black part of her outfit anyway. She took her shorts off while Naruto was getting their tent set up. I said no peeking. Bee repeated to Naruto. He waved at her. Petal jumped onto her head, and gave a very minty breath in her face, before she jumped to Naruto's shoulder, and breathed in his face, as well. Absolutely, and undeniably happy about the mints she was enjoying. I won't peek, I promise. Naruto noticed that Bee still wasn't walking to the river, so he reassured her that he wouldn't peek. She nodded in satisfaction, and grabbed her towel, before she went over to the river out of sight. I should totally peek. Naruto thought jokingly, with no intention of peeking at Bee. Oh Naruto, you told me you wouldn't peek. Naruto performed a fake girl voice, and covered his chest with his hands, before he leaned to the side, and performed an exaggerated version of his own voice. I'm not peeking, that would mean I'm hiding. I'm going to join you, hahaha. Naruto laughed at his own joke. Naruto flicked Petal on the back of her head and got her attention before he gestured off in the direction that beat was. Petal blinked a few times before she understood the meaning of what he wanted her to do. She went off after B, and Naruto grabbed Magic's Pokeball from B's bag and tossed it. Joke. Come on big guy, we're setting up camp. B is taking a bath. Here, you did good work with those B drills. Naruto passed a couple of berries to Magic, who happily accepted them, and started to help Naruto with the tent. They silently worked together, since Naruto didn't understand Magic very well. Not nearly as well as he understood his own partner, but they understood each other at least well enough to work together. They finished setting up camp. A small creature wandered into the camp. Oddish. Look at it, Magic, it says its name, so it's an Oddish. It's so green. Naruto pointed to the Oddish that entered the clearing. A dark green Pokemon with light green leaves on its head and red eyes. It was a super small Pokemon like Petal with grass on its head, as well. It was the exact same height as Petal was, which made it even more adorable to him. Hey, are you okay, little guy? Naruto ran over to the Pokemon when he saw it was struggling to walk. Magic followed behind him, and they saw that it was covered with light silk around its body, a very light layer, and it had some wounds on its body, as well. It had been attacked by Beedrill like them. Naruto leaned down and extended a hand to Oddish, meaning to help it get over to his bag where he had items to help it recover from its injuries. Naruto raised his arm up in defense when Oddish opened its mouth and spewed a purple slime onto him. Naruto felt it sting at his arm painfully, and he picked up Oddish and carried it towards the camp. He smiled and just picked up a spray bottle of potion out of his bag. Oddish was fighting him. Naruto got dusted in the face with purple powder, and Oddish struggled and spat more purple slime at him. Naruto didn't let go of Oddish though, and sprayed all of its wounds, and when the wounds were healing up, Naruto started to pull the silk off of its body. Magic blocked an attack that would have hit Naruto in the face again with his arm. Thanks, come on Oddish, just work with me a little. Naruto went dizzy for a second, as he let go of the half-healed Oddish. The Pokemon ran away, looked back at Naruto for a second, before he continued to run away back into the forest. Naruto wiped the purple goo off of his body, and flung it onto the grass, and he wiped the dust off of his face, as well. Grabbing a full heal from B's bag, Naruto sprayed it onto Magic's arm when he noticed that Magic was visibly wobbling, as well. There you go too, thanks for the save there. Here, you can rest up some more in your Pokeball if you want. Naruto stated, as he took the Pokeball out. Magic gladly accepted, and returned to his Pokeball, and his Pokeball was returned back to B's bag. He sprayed the rest of the full heal on himself, and tossed the empty bottle into his own bag, so he could remember to dispose of it later. He came back a few minutes later with Petal on her shoulder. I'll make dinner, I found some berries I can make roasted berries with. Go take a bath. B stated, as she started to pull what she needed out of her bag. She looked at Naruto, and stood up, and walked towards the river. No peeking. Naruto spoke, as he laughed. I won't. Naruto left. No peeking. B mocked Naruto by making her voice deeper in a fake male voice, before she shook her head, and laughed to herself. She didn't need to be told not to peek, but the way he used her own words was funny. I should peek, just to make sure he's safe. B made her voice even more girly to make fun of what she was saying to herself. She covered her mouth with her hands, and held back a giggle, before she laughed. She grabbed Magic's Pokeball, and tossed it. Joke Magic didn't seem amused by being called out again so quickly. Hey Magic, there might still be angry Beedrill in the area. Go take a bath with Naruto, just to make sure he doesn't get ambushed. B gave her verbal command to Magic, who just nodded his head, and walked off after Naruto. B looked at Petal, before she grabbed a mint from Naruto's bag, and held it out to the Pokemon. Here, thanks for watching out for me when I was bathing. You earn what you don't want. B asked when she saw Petal look at the mint with desire, but denied it. She just went over to Naruto's discarded hoodie, and lay down on top of it, taking the mint tin out of the hoodie, and shaking it around to amuse herself. B shrugged, and since the mint was already out, she put it in her mouth. She stopped herself from smiling when Petal looked at her. Mints are very nice, slightly sweet, but with a chilling coolness. You have good taste and a refreshing reward. B complimented Petal. She sighed when Petal didn't give her much of a response. She just started to shake the metal tin around on top of her head. She was having fun with the sound that the mints made from inside of the tin. She danced around Naruto's hoodie, and just enjoyed herself. So never mind, I wouldn't understand what you say anyway. He blushed a little when she realized she would be having a one-sided conversation, no matter what she said to the Pokemon. They just didn't have enough of a bond to really understand each other. Naruto came back a lot sooner from his bath than she did, and Petal jumped on top of his head, and reclaimed her spot. I know I said I would cook, but can you help me get a fire started? Sure, you chop them into pieces though. Understood. They ended up making dinner together anyway. Burning. Well, there was no hurry to get to Mahogany Town. B wanted to run so that she could turn it into stamina training. Just running, as far as they could, was her idea, and to train her Pokemon, she had Magic carrying her bag, as she ran. She was going barefoot, and all she was wearing was her spandex one piece, which was still decent to wear for the most part. She didn't want to get her clothes sweaty in the long run. "Why are you faster than me?" "My legs are thicker." Bee huffed, as she ran beside Naruto, keeping up with him, but only barely. She could tell it was a fact, just a flat-out fact that he was faster than she was. She didn't like being outclassed in anything physical to be sure. She knew the physical strength difference between them was not too extreme. The raw physical power was about even due to her extreme training through the years. Why was their speed so vastly different though? Longer legs, bigger strides I guess. Naruto could only guess though, he wasn't a biologist. He alone threw what little he knew about biology out the window, with how strangely strong she was. She was for sure stronger than any woman he could dream of in his homeworld. He was a pro athlete levels of fitness when he arrived to this world, and only increased his strength further during his time. She was running faster than her Magic, and she was almost keeping up with his pace, as well. She was also nearly at the same strength as he was, so she was just keeping up with him well overall. Running speed was all him, without a shadow of a doubt she was just having trouble overcoming that. "Want to take a break?" Naruto asked Bee, as he slowed down a little more, just a tad bit more to speak with her face to face. She frowned, and sped up, running harder, as she took a deep breath. She pushed ahead of him, and exerted her full running force. They had been running for hours, they had crossed a good distance, and with how fast they seemed to be, and how much progress they made before they started running, they would be at a Kritiak the next day for sure. Naruto sped up, and matched her, and she started to slow down, as she let out the breath she was holding. She slowed down to a jog, with Magic catching up to her. Petal was sweating, and keeping up with Naruto, and when Naruto slowed down, Petal slowed down. "Let's take a break," Bee stated when she saw just how exhausted her Pokemon was. Magic was even more exhausted than she was, so she plopped her ass down on the grass next to the root path. She was gasping, and took her water out of her bag, and drank it. She tossed it to Magic who partook of it after her. "How are you not sweating, as bad as I am?" Bee asked, as she looked over at him. He was sweating to be sure, but he seemed to have himself under control more than her. His painting wasn't as extreme. He shrugged. The smell of two sweaty humans was actually completely negated by a sweaty Petal, who gave the entire area a sweet aroma. Petal had water splashed on her by Naruto though, and though she cuddled up to him to get a reward, Naruto poked her on the top of the head. He watched Naruto and Petal's non-verbal communication, and how Naruto grinned when Petal pouted. Pokemon were wandering out of the nearby forest, being attracted by the sweet scent that Petal gave off. Magic flexed, and most of the Pokemon were scared off by it, but the bug types remained more sturdy in their desire to get to the sweet-smelling grass Pokemon. Cossack across. Until a larger bug Pokemon walked out of the forest with more determination set in its eyes. Bee looked towards it, and she saw its sturdy build, and the horn on top of its head. "Heracross, it's a bug fighting type you want to catch?" Bee asked, as she got her second wind when she saw the bug Pokemon show great interest in Naruto's Pokemon. She slapped Magic on the back a few times, and her Pokemon stepped in front of her. Heracross finally paid attention to her, and her partner though. Naruto waved a hand. "All you, go for it. Magic, get in close with a low sweep." Bee commanded, and Naruto paid attention to her battling. Heracross was faster, and an attack with its horn missed when Magic slid under the attack, and kicked the bug's feet out from under it. It didn't just hop back to its feet though, it shoved its entire body into Magic's belly, and knocked it flying through the air. He took a stance, and Magic flipped, landing on his feet in response to his trainer's feelings. "Joke. Focus energy, get ready for a big hit." Bee saw Heracross charge at Magic, and it opened its wings, as they glowed with Pokemon energy. She recognized the flying move. "Jump over it Magic, that is aerial ace." Bee commanded, but in the middle of the command already, Magic had to abandon its focus energy to follow her command. That second was enough for Heracross to hit Magic dead center in the middle of the chest. As it changed directions, it followed Magic through the jump, and hit anyway. Idle throw. Magic grabbed onto Heracross's wings, and gripped them, before lifting the Pokemon higher, and slammed it back down into the ground with a throw. Magic landed on his feet, before he took a knee in pain from the flying move that hit him. Heracross got back up to his feet after struggling for a few moments. Bee took a bright yellow and black Pokemon from her bag, the same kind that she used to carry Magic in. She got ready with it. Cross. Heracross rushed Magic with another attack. Duck, then strength. Bee waited. She waited until the best moment to give her order. Magic dodged, and even though Heracross made to go after it, it wasn't able to change its direction enough to do anything more than come close. It landed on his feet, as Magic slammed its arms into his back, knocking it down to the ground in front of Bee. She threw her ball at it, and Heracross was sucked up inside. The ball wiggled for a little bit. Ding. Bee gave a small fist bump, as she leaned down to pick the ball up, and she put it in her bag. She pointed Magic's ball at him. "Have a nice rest." "So this is a Pokemon battle, seems pretty fun, pretty intense." Naruto thought, as he saw what a real Pokemon battle seemed to be. He looked down at Petal, who seemed even more pumped up than before. He rubbed the top of her head, and she looked into the forest, and waited for the next Pokemon to come out for a battle. I think the Pokemon are a little hesitant to fight after that show there. Naruto let down his partner with that statement, and she pouted. He wiped the sweat from her brow. I've never trained a Heracross before. Once we recovered, B's legs gave out under her. Naruto stopped her from completely collapsing by grabbing the shoulder strap of her one piece and holding onto it. The legs still gave out though, so she grabbed onto Naruto's arms and lowered herself to the ground. Exhaustion. Let's set up camp for the day. We can continue to the next town tomorrow. Let's camp tomorrow too, and head out the day after. A day of rest sounds good, don't you think, B? Naruto asked her. She thought about it. Fine, I can focus on my upper body tomorrow anyway. Today was legs and cardio, so abs and upper body tomorrow. B agreed to the suggestion. Naruto grabbed her water bottles and his own and headed out into the forest. As he was walking towards the forest, Naruto took something out of his pocket and tossed it back towards B. It hit her forehead and landed in her lap. Here. B looked into her lap and she saw the chocolate bar that she had denied herself at the Pokemart. She looked at Naruto's back vanishing in the forest and she gave a soft smile as she opened the candy bar. So good. B gave a super happy smile, savoring every second of her first bite of the candy bar. She pushed her hand into her cheek, and her entire body curled up in delight at the sweetness. She couldn't help herself, but was happy. She had expected the journey to have little to no sweets, until they reached a town with stores in it. Bee looked around, before she gave a blush when she saw Petal was staring at her. Realizing that she had just shown her giddy smile to Naruto's partner, she turned around, and enjoyed the candy bar in silence. She refused to stop eating it, but she held her smiles back the best that she could. That night. This is delicious. I know, right? Naruto ate the breast he cooked, while Bee ripped the meat off of the spit. Naruto didn't just come back with berries this time, he came back with meat as well. She had been missing protein in her diet. Plant proteins just didn't satisfy that craving for meat. Naruto didn't feed Petal any meat though, he just chopped up a few berries and roasted them for the Pokemon. Magic was certainly enjoying the meal. Heracross was not eating meat or really eating the berries, the Heracross was just sucking the juice out of the berries. When all the juice was sucked out, it tossed the dried up berry to the ground. The bug ate further away from everyone and sent glances towards Magic and its new trainer. What Pokemon is this? B asked with realization. Don't think about it too hard. Naruto sent a thumbs up to B, a grin on his face. Pokemon ate each other all the time, so, as much as he wanted to befriend Pokemon, he had no real problem eating Pokemon either. He typically only ate Pokemon that could put up a fight though, eating something defenseless just didn't sit right with him. He also didn't eat a Pokemon that refused to fight back, or a Pokemon that seemed friend. That attitude, able to fight back, fighting spirit. This usually meant that Naruto didn't eat Pokemon, because he usually didn't come across Pokemon that fit all of his conditions. If a Pokemon was friendly, he couldn't eat it. If a Pokemon didn't fight back, he would not eat it. For Pokemon that lacked a fighting spirit, he refused to try and eat them. I won't. B continued eating. And thank you for the chocolate. It was going to get all melty anyway. I have no clue why I bought it, I don't really eat sweets that often. Naruto spoke with a glance at her. Petal jumped into his lap and took a small bite of his meal as well, before jumping off of his lap and scurrying away. He just grinned at his scamp of a Pokemon. Petal looked towards B and gestured to her foot with a leaf. He cut a piece of her meal out and offered it towards Naruto. Petal nodded in satisfaction at the action. Naruto took the offered bite and just silently grinned at B. He saw his grin and covered her mouth, hiding a laugh as her cheeks bulged out. She compassed herself with her cheeks colored. Dork. B shot at Naruto with a more compassed look. Naruto just grinned at the insult, though Petal didn't seem too amused by it. She calmed down when Naruto patted her on the head. He was giving the tiniest of smiles when she said that. So, why do you want to go to Mahogany Town? Oh, reasons. B looked away from Naruto when she answered his random question. She sighed in relief when he just shrugged his shoulders, accepting her answer as valid. She couldn't bring herself to say it out loud. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.